Let's make one thing clear. If you clicked on this thinking it's just another alpha versus sigma hype video, you're in the wrong room. Because this right here isn't for the crowd. It's not for the loud ones chasing clout, screaming dominance, or trying to prove themselves. No, this is for the man who doesn't need a stage, who doesn't need applause, who doesn't need validation. This is for the man who sits in silence, watching the world burn, and doesn't blink. The man who never fit in, because he was never meant to. He doesn't bend to tribes, doesn't chase packs, doesn't follow systems. He walks his own road, even when it's dark, even when it's lonely, even when every voice around him says he's insane. And yet, somehow, he's the one everyone feels but can't define. Women can smell it on you. They don't always know what it is, but something deep in their gut tells them you're different. They might not put it into words, but they sense it in the way you move, the way you pause, the way you don't flinch when the world tests you. And no, it's not your clothes, not your car, not your jawline. It's not surface. It's the way you carry the weight of your own shadow like it's nothing. It's the way you live without asking for applause, without begging to be seen, without needing to explain yourself. That's why if you're still here, still listening after these first few seconds, I already know something about you. You're not here to learn how to act, Sigma. You're not pretending. You're not playing dress up with an archetype. You just are. The silence, the depth, the sharp edges, it's in your blood. You've already been tested, already been cut open by life, already walked through fire. And you didn't just survive. You came back with eyes that see too much. Oh, and before we dive deeper, I've got something for the ones who recognize themselves in these words. Sigma's Black Book of Untouchable Power. It's not fluff. It's not motivation. It's forbidden knowledge, cold, raw, and dangerous, that most men will never have the discipline to handle. It will sharpen you into the kind of man others whisper about, the kind of man people respect in silence and fear in their gut. But here's the warning, this won't be up for long. The elite don't want this knowledge in your hands. They've built entire systems to keep men like you distracted, tamed, and dependent. This book breaks that chain. So if you're serious, grab it now, in the description or the pinned comment, before it disappears. Now, let's cut straight into it. Let's get into how she knows it, how she senses what you are before you ever say a word. Number 1. Your eyes don't flinch. You want to know what gives you away? Not your walk. Not your words. Not even your energy at first. It's your eyes. Always the eyes. See, a woman can fake interest. She can fake shyness. She can even fake desire. But what she can't fake is her reaction to a gaze that cuts straight through her surface and goes for her soul. When a Sigma looks at a woman, there's no performance, no agenda, no hidden thirst. It's like standing in front of a mirror that doesn't blink. And you've got that look. The one that unnerves her. The one that makes her stop mid-sentence, mid-game, mid-performance. Your eyes don't twitch, don't wander, don't beg. They're steady. Calm. Still. Cutting. Most men's eyes are loud, screaming for attention, begging for approval, dripping with insecurity, or trying too hard to intimidate. But not yours. Your gaze is like standing at the edge of a cliff, silent, beautiful, and dangerous. It doesn't pull her in. It dares her to come closer. It doesn't demand. It doesn't plead. It just exists, heavy and sharp, like gravity itself. You don't look at women like they're prizes to be won. You don't look at them like they're gods to be worshipped. You look at them like you've already fought your battles, already bled, already conquered, and now you're just observing. Calm. Detached. Infinite patience. That stare, that silence, that full attention with no strings attached, it melts the mask right off her face. Because in a split second, it tells her two truths. You're not impressed by her beauty. You've seen real things, darker things, and nothing about her will ever shake you. And that's where her games collapse. Within minutes, she knows whether you're Sigma. She feels it in the way her usual tricks, flirting, dodging, performing, die mid-play. She can't win with charm. She can't distract you with looks. Suddenly, she's not the one holding power. She's the one being evaluated. That shift? That's rare. And women live for rare. It's why your silence hits harder than another man's words. It's why your eyes linger in her memory long after you've walked away. Because deep down, she knows, she just crossed paths with a man who cannot be shaken. Number 2. You make her feel exposed without a word. Here's the thing about Sigma males, they don't need to interrogate you. They don't need to fish for secrets, force conversations, or pry with endless questions. They just exist, and suddenly, people start confessing. Ever notice how strangers tell you too much, too fast? That's not coincidence. It's not luck. It's psychological. Your energy disarms people because it doesn't pressure them, doesn't push them, doesn't judge them. It just holds them. And for women, that effect is amplified. She doesn't even know why she's doing it. One moment she's talking about the weather, the next she's spilling details about her last breakup, her deepest insecurities, or the scars she's never voiced out loud. And here's the twist, it's not because you asked. It's because sitting across from you, she feels something she rarely feels, seen. Not judged. Not desired. Not put on a pedestal. Seen. Because unlike most men, you're not calculating what to say next. You're not running pickup scripts in your head. You're not waiting to pounce with a clever line. You're present. Grounded. Rooted in silence. And that kind of emotional stillness? It's intoxicating. It's unnerving. It's the same aura you feel around monks, assassins, and surgeons, the aura of a man who doesn't flinch. So what happens? She shifts. She adjusts her posture without knowing why. Her voice speeds up, then slows down, then tries to sync with your rhythm. She laughs too loud, then goes quiet, searching for balance. And the more she tries to mirror you, the more she realizes she can't. You're too still, too centered, too unbothered. And in that gap between her chaos and your calm, she feels naked. Exposed. Vulnerable. Like you can see the parts of her she's been hiding from the world. That's how she knows. She's not dealing with a guy who consumes Sigma content for fun. She's not dealing with someone acting mysterious. She's sitting across from a man who became Sigma the hard way, through solitude, through scars, through relentless growth. And here's the part no one can fake, that depth isn't taught. It's forged. It's carved out by pain, by loss, by silence. That kind of presence can't be imitated, it's felt. And once she feels it, she knows. She's dealing with something real, something rare, something dangerous. Number 3. You say less, but it cuts deeper. Here's what most men don't understand, women are surrounded by noise. Compliments, rehearsed jokes, empty words, they've heard them all before. Their ears are numb to flattery. Their walls are built high against empty promises. But when a Sigma speaks, the entire atmosphere shifts. Because you don't talk to fill space. You don't lace your words with hidden agendas. You don't seek approval, applause, or reaction. Every word you speak carries the weight of intention. And that is rare. A single sentence from you can stop her dead in her tracks. It's not because you're trying to be poetic or smooth, it's because you've stripped your voice of the unnecessary. You speak only when something is worth saying, and you allow silence to do the rest of the work. That silence? It isn't awkward. It's commanding. Women are addicted to curiosity, not answers. And your restraint makes you a walking question mark. She studies the way you pause, the way you tilt your head, the way you can look at her for 3 seconds without saying a word and leave her wondering what you're thinking. And here's the truth, your silence speaks louder than most men's paragraphs. Because behind your stillness is a life lived with scars, battles, and lessons she can't even imagine. You're not desperate for her attention because you've faced dragons bigger than rejection. You've bled, healed, and rebuilt yourself. That kind of man doesn't beg to be understood, he lets others lean into the mystery. So when you do choose to speak, it lands. It cuts. It lingers. And she remembers it long after you're gone. That Sigma energy, words sharpened by silence, sentences heavy with presence. Number 4. You're unbothered by her status, looks, or games. Here's the ultimate test. Watch how a man reacts when he's standing in front of a beautiful woman, a powerful woman, or a woman who knows the world bends for her. Most men crack. Their posture shifts, their voices soften, their energy screams, "Please choose me." But you stay still. Calm. Unbothered. She's stunning? That's fine. You've seen beauty before, and you know it fades. She's successful? Good for her. You respect it, but you're not hypnotized by it. She plays games to test you? Cute. But you don't play. You don't bite. You don't flinch. And this rattles her. Because her whole life, men have bent around her status or her looks. They've competed for her attention, excused her flaws, and turned her games into entertainment. But you're not one of them. You don't measure her by her appearance or her bank account, you measure her by her character. And if that doesn't match, you walk away without hesitation. That quiet refusal to pedestalize her destroys the scripts she's been using on men her whole life. Suddenly, she's not the one in control. She can be the most desired woman in the room and still feel exposed under your gaze. Because you don't see the version she sells to the world, you see the truth beneath it. And that truth? That's what makes you untouchable. Because the Sigma male isn't impressed by the surface. He's only moved by depth, by loyalty, by authenticity. Everything else, status, games, beauty, is just noise. And you've trained yourself to be immune to noise. That's why you're magnetic. Not because you chase, but because you refuse to. And in a world where everyone else bends, your refusal makes you unforgettable. Number 5. You're focused on the room, not just her. This is where Sigma males split from the pretenders. Awareness. Most men get hypnotized the second a beautiful woman gives them attention. Their entire nervous system locks onto her, every glance, every breath, every word. To them, she becomes the room. She becomes the mission. She becomes oxygen. But not you. Your focus is broader, sharper, colder. While she's speaking, you're not just looking at her, you're reading the entire environment. You clock the exits. You register who's walking in, who's watching, who's moving too fast or too slow. You catch the details others drown in, the nervous laugh from the guy in the corner, the tension at the bar, the subtle power dynamics unfolding in silence. And here's the thing, women feel this. They can sense when a man's attention is suffocating versus when it's sovereign. She notices how your shoulders never fully square off to her, how they angle slightly toward the exit. She notices how your eyes flick to the corners of the room without breaking rhythm. She notices the calm precision in how you occupy space, as though you're guarding it, commanding it. This unsettles her. Because she's used to men drowning in her beauty, orbiting her like she's the gravitational center of the universe. But you don't orbit. You don't pedestalize. You don't collapse into her gravity. You hold your own. And more than that, you make it clear through your presence that she's only part of your world, not the whole of it. That subtle truth stings, and excites her. Because suddenly, she feels what so many men fear to give her, conditions. You are not here begging to be chosen. You are here to choose. And she knows, on some instinctive level, that if she doesn't earn her place in your orbit, you will walk away without hesitation, without drama, without regret. And that is what makes her lean in deeper. Because in a world full of men desperate to be consumed by her, you are the only one disciplined enough to stay free. And freedom, in a man, is the rarest, and most intoxicating, currency. Number 6. Your silence speaks louder than words. Here's the paradox women can't escape, they've heard it all before. The compliments, the flirty jokes, the sweet promises, they're rehearsed, predictable, and exhausting. Most men fill silence with noise, afraid of losing attention. But you weaponize silence. When you're with her, you don't rush to respond. You don't babble to prove your worth. You let pauses stretch. You let silence hang heavy in the air until it feels like gravity itself is bending around you. And instead of being awkward, it draws her closer. Why? Because silence is unsettling to those who are used to validation. When you don't feed her with constant affirmation, she begins questioning herself. Did I impress him? Did I bore him? What is he thinking? Your quiet confidence forces her to reveal herself. She fills the silence with her own stories, confessions, and slips of truth. It's not that you're cold. It's that you're measured. Every word you choose is deliberate. And in a world addicted to oversharing, your restraint feels like power. She can't quite pin you down, and that mystery keeps her hooked. That's the Sigma edge. You don't need noise to dominate a room. You let silence do the work. And the more she leans in to decode you, the more she realizes she's already orbiting you. Number 7. You move with purpose, not performance. Most men enter a room like actors auditioning for approval, loud laughs, exaggerated gestures, desperate attempts to be noticed. But when you walk in, the atmosphere changes without effort. Not because you're trying to impress, but because you're grounded in purpose. Your movements are economical. Controlled. Every step, every gesture, every shift in posture feels intentional. You don't fidget. You don't over-explain. You don't try to take up space, you own space by existing in it with calm authority. And women notice. They pick up on the fact that you're not performing for attention, you're simply being. It's the difference between a man who needs validation and a man who already validated himself in the fire of solitude and struggle. When you reach for your drink, you don't rush. When you greet someone, your handshake is firm but not forced. When you speak, your voice carries weight not because it's loud, but because it's steady, unshaken. This kind of presence is magnetic because it can't be faked. It's not style, it's substance. To her, it feels like this: if this man moves through a room with this much control, how much control does he carry in the deeper, hidden parts of life? And suddenly, she's intrigued, not by your looks, not by your possessions, but by your discipline. Because that's the rarest thing of all. Men who perform fade the moment the crowd leaves. Men who move with purpose remain unforgettable. And a Sigma always leaves an imprint. Number 8. You read energy, not words. Here's the truth most people miss: words lie, energy doesn't. And Sigma males? They don't just hear what's said, they feel what's unsaid. When you're in a room, you're not only listening to her stories or watching her body language, you're tuning into her energy. You notice the tension in her tone, the hesitation in her pauses, the flicker in her eyes when something doesn't align. While most men take words at face value, you scan beneath the surface. This unnerves women because it strips away the performance. She can smile, laugh, and play her usual games, but deep down, she knows you see the cracks. You pick up on her restlessness, her insecurity, her hidden desires. And without confronting her directly, you mirror back a truth she wasn't ready to admit. That's why conversations with you feel different. She feels exposed, not because you interrogated her, but because you quietly absorbed her essence. Your intuition slices through her defenses like a blade, and suddenly, she's wondering, how does he see me so clearly? This is where your edge becomes undeniable. You're not judging her, you're simply aware. And awareness is rare in a world drowning in distraction. It's the reason she can't forget you, even after a short encounter. Because while every other man saw her mask, you saw her. That's the Sigma gift. You don't get fooled by surface beauty or clever words. You read energy. And energy never lies. Now, drop the word hidden in the comments if you've ever walked through a crowd and felt invisible, yet knew deep down you carried more power than anyone who noticed you. That's not weakness. That's control. That's presence. And if you're the type of man who doesn't need to shout to be heard, who doesn't need to chase validation to prove his worth, then this is where you belong. Subscribe, because this isn't just content, it's a movement. A movement for men who move in silence but change the entire atmosphere when they enter the room. We don't beg for attention. We don't perform for approval. We don't make noise. We create impact. Remember this, the world confuses silence with weakness. But silence is the strongest weapon a man can carry. It's the pause before the strike. The calm before the storm. You are not weak. You are not forgotten. You are far from weak. And the ones who underestimate you will always learn that too late. See you in the next one.